Hey, hello everybody. Welcome. It is Thursday and 9 p.m. here in the UK. So of course that means it's UK Cowboys time. How are you doing, cowpokes?
Doing good. Oh, Paul, you're mute.
Hold on.
Oh, there we go. I'm doing.
There
There
we
you
go. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Technicals to start off with.
Yeah, I'm alright, man. I'm tired with the puppy. He was actually barking just before we were going live at my bloody blue light. So normally I have the blue background behind me, and my puppy decides to think it's like the most evil demon dog eyes. So it's pure barking, going crazy right now. So that's I'm settled in. So I had to take the light away. So, but other than that, I'm doing good.
Yes, well, of course, it is season 2, episode 117, continuing the breakdown series in the off season. Done the quarterbacks and the running backs, and this week we are on to the wide receivers. So lot to look at there. So we're going to rip through this one. Wide receiver was probably one of the biggest positional groups for the Cowboys. Only adding to it, which we'll talk about a bit later last week. But yes, as we start every episode, we start them off with our news and updates, guys. So, of course, the big news is we've had a little bit of football. The OTAs are back. I'll get, first of all, from you guys, anything you want to add on what you've seen in the OTAs already?
I'm just glad that Dak's back and throwing the football more than anything. And I know we're going to touch up on this as well as the whole Jalen Smith number 9 fiasco.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and Donovan Wilson number 6 and
Yes.
Cedric Wilson number 1. But yeah, just the fact that Dak's back on the field and he's actually doing something with the he's not doing the full contact 11 on 11, but he's certainly doing some of the team and individual drills. So that's obviously a good sign. And by all accounts, he's really zinging the ball down there, and the legs are operating fine. He's faster, mobile. So hopefully he doesn't need to use his legs too much this season, unless the game's on the line. We certainly don't want another.
Well, I mean, one.
Oh, Mike, you just cut out there.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, Long. Continue.
No. I was finished.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought I was interrupting you. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I did notice that was with Dak is looking at it. He is looking quite nimble. Like you were saying,
Yep.
The agility seems to be there in the movement skills, which are important. Talking though of conditioning. 2 guys I was looking at that look, and one especially was Tyrone Smith and Lyle Collins, both looking, match ready, game ready. I was paying big attention to them.
I'm like one of my one-word liners. If there's one word I can say about Tyrone and Lyle Collins, it's lean. They look lean as fuck. Sorry, excuse my language.
Look ready to go.
But it's true. Like they look in great condition going into camp, and I just hope by the football gods that nothing happens to them. That and yeah, I'm just because we don't want an abolic of a season where we're struggling for offensive linemen because we didn't. I still feel as though we haven't dressed it enough for this season going forward, and this is like a season that's like, we could really make a break if everyone stays healthy. So yeah.
Unless
I mean, I know we'll talk about offense. Oh, go on, Lon. Go on.
No, I was going to say, unless you're Dan Orlovsky, you certainly should think that the Cowboys are going to be featuring high in the NFC East this year. The one that got me a couple of weeks ago was Amari Cooper had posted a training video of Dak and Lyle doing ball exercises on the floor, and that, I mean, Lyle is as close to an offensive lineman can be to being ripped. I mean, he looks very lean, as you say, Paul. So I mean, if he can if he can just the weight's off, which is the main thing. He turned up to camp last year overweight, and probably that was because he couldn't train properly because of the hip issue that had been bothering him from the season before. So to see him like that, I mean that certain. I mean any player can go down on any play, but he's certainly coming into the season looking in his best condition.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really recall an offensive lineman really getting that like that in that prime physical condition even before camp.
Yep.
Like it's normally it's the strength and condition they get a little bit bigger than that. But I don't know if it's just something that I may be kind of spitting ball in here. If this is a different type of direction where they want our offensive line to be more agile, more have more mobility type of thing, rather than just kind of stand it. Like, because we know Tyron and Lyle are big guys, so we know that. Yeah. And if there was one thing that Lyle did have as a good trait, even when he was playing at guard, was his movement. Him being like a swing tackle or a guard swinging, moving up to the upfield and stuff like that. He was great at that. But the fact that if he was to lose the excess and just put on the actual extra muscle, can you imagine the destruction he can cause if he was to run upfield and be in front of Zeke, causing havoc, putting linebackers in the backside or even put safeties in the backside? Who knows what could happen,
Yep. Yeah, future's bright.
Yeah. And use it. It is. And I got one for you as well that I was thinking about is people worrying about Tyron Smith in terms of can he play the 17 games. I actually think looking at that and the fact that he's had an entire year, an entire season not playing football, I think will do wonders for his health. The fact that he could not play for an entire year, because it's always been with Tyron Smith, sort of management with him to make sure that he's always in, game ready health. Have a year off, gets you back on track.
Definitely. But I think my still big main concern, and I share this with Graham every time, is are we going to get 17 games out of Tyron Smith this year? That's the big question. That is
I think we will. We will.
If we get him for 17 games a season, fantastic. That would be brilliant for Dak, brilliant for our offense, take the pressure off the defense, all that type of stuff. So, yeah, I'm just hoping that's the case, man. Because, man, there's nothing really much else to really kind of add on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, in other news, mind, if we want to talk about the bad side of OTAs, Jalen Smith actually did not look like he was moving very well. His movement skills were very poor. I don't know if you noticed that. Something to worry about.
Yeah, someone made a comment on, I can't remember if it was on Twitter or Facebook and stuff like that, and it was on Big Game James's feed. I'm pretty sure it was. It was either from a tweet or a Facebook post. But anyway,
yeah.
Basically, the comment saying is like Jalen Smith seems to be more interested on the business side of football rather than playing football right now. And I can't help argue, but agree with that because he's spending all his business money to kind of rebrand himself as number 9 now. He's got his sunglasses company. He's doing this and that. But don't get me wrong, I do love Jalen Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I do love it. I've got to meet the guy, lovely guy, whatever and that. But I'm just like, just take your head out of your ass and just focus on football. Like what you do after football will come to fruition anyway. Don't do like, and this is the concern I have, and this is like with the boss man Fat when it comes to the music. I like how he's actually kind of saying, no, my number one priority is football. My music comes second.
He did.
I appreciate that, but I'm kind of seeing this fiasco with the number 9 now going on. Like, fair enough, it's your high school number, your college football number, but me and Lauren know fine well. Like, if you're given a jersey and you make a name for yourself for that jersey, like my number was 78, for the UK Pirates, and I took a year out and I came back to play number 45. I was bloody devastated because that was the number I always had. I didn't want to change number because I've always kind of known like that's the jersey I want. I want to play with that. So, and to be, and it wasn't exactly I was moving positions, so it made no sense to me. It's just because some guy, I took a year out, some other guy came in, took my jersey number, and I can't go back in again. But for this, I'm just like, it's like his priorities are not set in stone, and we're kind of seeing that in OTAs right now. And anyone is doing the whole memes right now, doing the whole Mike. No, Mike. Honestly, like what I was trying to say is like there's a meme going about with Michael Parsons and Jalen Smith together with the two numbers together. It's like, yeah, our defense is going to be like a terrorist attack. I'm like, oh my god, shut up! Really? Come on. Come on, really. Get your head out your ass and just actually stop. It's like, see what's now happening now. We're actually getting more of this crap happening now. So sorry, mate. I just had to rant on there. I really did.
Yeah, I mean the one thing about Jalen,
right.
the one thing about Jalen is that they were seemingly they were only giving him spot duty this week because obviously they're slowly bringing him back. He did wrist surgery during the off season, so he's not 100% there. But yeah, I mean, you should be making them, especially with the new coaching staff. You should be making the most of any opportunity you get on the field, and especially when you got young whippersnappers like Micah Parsons and Jabril Cox coming in. You know, there's only 8 linebackers on the roster. You know, but I mean, nobody's guaranteed a position. You always get the personnel department looking to upgrade or at least trim some of the fat, if nothing else. So, you know, you really need to make the most of every opportunity you can.
Yeah, and talking of opportunity, the rookies were all playing together in OTAs, which I found interesting. Quite a clever move, I think, keeping the rookies together and the vets together. Eventually, you know, you're going to see them. They did do some workouts together, but priority mainly they were in their groups. Thought that was quite an interesting move. The only other bit of news is Amari Cooper. Oh, go on. Sorry,
I'm just bringing up DJ Dog's comment there. I did not know that Tyron Smith was doing yoga. There we go. That's another thing as well. It's like
that's a big mat. That's a big yoga mat.
Well, that's what kind of besides the point. But I know, I had to do yoga for a flexibility training after, and it does help. But for and this is me just like for me and Lauren, we were just playing it for the hell of it. But for professional players to do it, they would get so much benefits off it. And people would say, yoga is just a first now, but it does help, man. It really does. So more, I love it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, sorry. In other news as well, though, Amari Cooper, knee scope, everything's looking fine. Other news, though, on UK Cowboys is we have in the development stages, but so keep an eye out. We'll keep you updated on it. Is there will be a UK Cowboys website, so somewhere where you can neatly find everything. So it's in the development stages, only literally put into the pipeline this week, but it will all be going up in due time. But that is, guys, unless you got anything more to add, the news and updates. You happy with that?
No, I don't have anything to add. No,
no, I've not. Although I do see Kayvon Fraser's just signed with the Bengals. So
Kayvon Fraser, oof.
Yep, he's just signed with the Bengals. Okay. So,
well, fair play to him. We wish him all the best.
Yep.
Obviously. But let's get into it then, guys. Wide receivers, positional breakdown series. So first of all, let me get your first take. I put a post up, which was to the chagrin of much of the other NFL UK fan groups. I put on there about who has the best wide receiver core. A lot of, even some Cowboys fans got upset because Michael Gallup wasn't in the photo. Completely missing the point of the post, but there we go. But where do you rank the Cowboys wide receiver group. Really, when we're talking about it, we're talking really the main three. But the core overall, how do you rank it? Is it the first in the NFL, second, third? Where do you look?
Definitely top 5, I'll say that.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously maybe the Bucks last year with their their run to the Super Bowl, having Mike Evans and even having Antonio Brown
and Goodwin.
Yeah.
That to me right now, like for them, for when they needed those wide receivers at the right time, they stepped up, and look what happened. They got to the Super Bowl, and this was like without Gronkowski was there, but it wasn't really effective as much during those playoff games. Like he was the star player of the Super Bowl, but when it came to the really important way of actually getting to the Super Bowl, like it was the wide receivers who were doing all the work, and Fournette as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
but I mean,
it is safe to fit. It's safe to go on.
No, I was going to say I'd agree. We're certainly top 5. I mean, how many people last year rushed out to put bets on that Dak was going to pass for 4,000 yards, Zeke was going to run for 1,000, and then you were going to get 3,000-yard receivers. So, I mean, touchwood, I don't want to put a jinx on it, but I mean, again, you should be going into this season with similar aspirations as well. That, you certainly don't want that to be passing for 6,000 yards like he was on pace for last year, because that means we're playing catch up in games, and probably means our defense hasn't picked up at all. But I certainly we are in the top 5 in the league.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I'm just trying to think of all the other teams as well. I'm just looking at all the depth charts right now, and when you really break it down, it's really hard to say. Like you could say the Falcons, you could see them with Julio and Calvin Ridley. You could see them in top 5.
Julio still there though?
Oh, that's the question.
Julio said he's leaving, so he's not coming back.
Hello, this is Shannon Sharp calling. Oh my God, I cannot believe that. But you've got possibly LA, maybe Seattle with Metcalf and Lockett. I mean, it's a big debate, but I definitely feel so that Dallas definitely with Cooper, with Lamb and Gallup, we're definitely above those guys. But it's really it's a bit of a debate in terms of. It's hard to say really, but definitely I would say Bucks right now of the top wide receiver core, and not far behind would be Dallas.
Yep,
I think.
Yeah. So obviously, tipping the top of the wide receiver core is Amari Cooper, first round wide receiver to the Oakland Raiders, or what was the Oakland Raiders at the time. Now, this was too much of a debate, and really was when this trade happened. Was we were doing the show actually, kind of split. I think you would agree in opinion with when they made the trade, because it was a first round pick that the Cowboys gave up. Pretty much, I think it's safe to say that was probably a slam dunk. Would you guys say in terms of that trade?
Absolutely, and
yeah,
I mean, I don't know what the media are trying to say, but the fact that Gallup, like they're trying to say that Cooper's now overpaid or something like that, right? And he turned it's like let's just remember that Gallup turned down a much higher offer from Washington to come to stay with us. Let's just remind people
Amari Cooper.
Yes, absolutely. Amari Cooper, for the people who's just joined in, sorry. Let's just remind them the fact that Washington offered him, I think it was like at least $7.5 million more in the overall contract.
I think they'd offered $120 million and they signed for $100 million with us. So that was $20 million.
Like I knew it was at least 7.5 difference, but I knew it was. I knew it would have been much higher than that. But still, it's like he just wanted to stay with us because he felt happy to play for us. He liked where he was situated, and I'm sick of the media. So it's all about the Cowboys. Let's be honest, we are the world's team. Everyone wants to talk about us, yada yada yada. So, sorry, I'm pure going off and rant. Sorry tonight, man. Honest to God,
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that
it's fine, but go on, Lorne. Go on.
Yeah, one of the things
I'll be right back a minute, guys. I've got to reset my system a minute.
All right, no worries. Okay, no we'll keep going.
We'll keep it good, yeah. One of the things that the media were going on about when we traded for Amari Cooper was that we supposedly overpaid because we gave a first-round pick. But I mean, the same way that whenever somebody's a free agent and wants to increase their market value, what do? You go and mention the Cowboys either on telly, you appear in Cowboys gear. It gets the media talking. Same when teams are trading, that puts the pressure on the Cowboys, and people will make the Cowboys pay more than any other team. Especially, I mean, the way the Cowboys wide receiver core was that season, where we were supposedly doing it by committee because we got rid of Dez, we only had Beasley and what have you. We had to act. Obviously, we saw midway through the season it wasn't working. The closer you get to the trade deadline, the more the team that's willing to part with the player can put the pressure on and make you pay. And we just had to pay that. But a first round pick, I think, has been, excellent value.
Absolutely, and the fact is, he was still at the age of 24 when we got him. Like, he's already been in the NFL for 4 seasons from the age of 20, and he's not even hit his prime yet. So for us, we're getting a lot of value here, and even still, with the way he was performing, he still had those ankle injuries or shin injuries or something like that, wasn't it? So the fact is, he's been playing through all those injuries, and yet he's still able to perform, especially in that Eagles game where he just completely, it was a fluke, to be honest, was that winning touchdown. That was just unbelievable when that happened.
Well, he went off in that game. That was the game I think he had 3 touchdowns and, just basically he put the team on his back in that game. And that final catch, I think, was that not a night game as well? So I think
I think that was Thursday night football, that one, I think.
Yeah, and just to finish to that, I think everybody, I certainly woke the whole house up that night.
I did. Just something I want to point out, because we were just talking about the contract for Cooper there, and you were just mentioning about free agents there. I'm just looking at the Giants' new wide receiver, Kenny Galladay's contract, $72 million. He is not worth that amount of money, and that's the thing. And that's the thing about free agency we were just talking about. It's like Cooper could have got $120 million, but he took the lesser contract because he helped. And that's the thing. If the system location makes you feel better, it's not all about money. You can always earn that money from other revenues, but when you're seeing players like Kenny Galladay, and let's be honest, he's not a number 1 wide receiver. He's not, right? And he's getting $72 million.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yes, and I'm back. There we go. My system is up and working much better. I'm actually in time with you guys now. Sorry.
Hey.
Sometimes, the old IT system, switch it off, switch it back on deal. Works every time. 99% of the time, it works every time.
£6 for me.
That's right, baby. Maybe a bit of real panther. So, yes, bearing in mind, right, here's a fact about Amari Cooper I went back to look at. Did you know he is, since being drafted, one of the very few wide receivers that was taken in the first round that's made multiple Pro Bowls?
I wasn't aware of that, but yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, in the last 6 years, he's only made a sub 1,000 yard season once. obviously with the Raiders at the time. Every other year, he's always eclipsed it. Last year in 2020, which we can say the reasons why and what you want, was his worst season in terms of touchdowns, where he only got 5. Bearing in mind the guy had to play with 5 different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So, these are all reasons. Now, a lot of people as well, I don't know if you remember, not last season, the season before, complained about Amari Cooper home and Amari Cooper on the road. Last season, his split, not that bad at all. He had up and down games both at home and away. In fact, his best game was on the road last year. Versus the Eagles, week 16. Yeah, in week 16 against the Eagles, he was averaging 30 yards per reception.
Yeah, because our good friend DJ Dawn made a wee comment about Cooper proved that road games production has been a little under par, so to speak. So
it was, but last season it was a lot better. He kind of tried to break that narrative a little bit. Just going back and looking at the statistics. The other things I was looking at is Amari Cooper's career yards per catch, which is an average of 13.8. That's better than Antonio Brown.
Take that any day. Yep.
I know. Yeah.
I think one of the things as well, you talk about where he has up and down games. There's games where obviously, he probably has a big week the week before, so the opposition are coming in to actually stop him. And we saw it last season that, 1 week it was Gallup was up there in terms of leading the team in receiving yards. The next week it was CD Lamb. The next week it was Cooper again. That's what you're going to expect. The teams is you're sort of going in and you're trying to make the other team pick their poison. And
I think the best analogy, Laura, is we had a Russian roulette of wide receivers.
Yeah.
There's a lot to say about last year's production. In terms of the reasons why and all the rest of it. But I mean, look, we can say all this, right? A lot of people say he only caught 5 touchdowns. Well, DeAndre Hopkins only caught 4. And everyone still agrees he's one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Wasn't there a number 1 wide receiver did not even receive 1 touchdown last year? I can't remember who it was.
It wouldn't surprise me. People talk about, Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, less touchdowns than Amari Cooper. But, there's a lot of his yards, which are over 1,000 yards, still it ranked 14th. So across the league, it was a bit of a weird season. You can't base a lot of what was happening. If he had a good season, then great. Statistically, and he did. His yards after carry, his yards after catch, 408 yards was ranked in the top 20. So everything you'd look at with Amari Cooper, he is in fact one of my favorite players. And we've seen as well that I think the big point with Amari Cooper is we've seen what this team is like without him. That's pre-trade. So, when they went for this, when Jason Garrett was with us, and they went for that wide receiver by committee. Yeah. And we had the likes of Alan Hearns playing wide receiver 1. I mean, we've seen that and it didn't work. We've also seen what happens when Cooper's injured and he's not playing, what that looks like too. Slightly different now because we've got Lamb. But we've seen, which we'll move on to in a minute with Cooper, what that's like, and it's not as productive.
The main thing with Cooper as well is that when he was traded to us, one of the things was that he was having a case of the drops in Oakland, and you haven't seen that since he's come across here. The ball's in his vicinity, he'll catch it. Unless somebody makes a bone jarring hit on him, if he's going up for it, 9 times out of 10 he's coming down with it. So you're not seeing the drops that he had in previous years at the tail end of his career at Oakland. So it's obviously been beneficial for him coming to Dallas as well.
Yeah, I'm Derek. You got to remember that people talk about his drops in the Raiders and what was it? We keep going back to Oakland because that's what it was. But there were a lot of off-target throws he had to deal with, like the off-target throw rate back then with Derek Carr. It's through the roof. It's really bad. Not saying that Dak is this immense, pinpoint accurate quarterback, but it helps that you put more catchable balls for your receiver in. But I'm pretty certain. Here's one for you, though, right, guys? So he's 22 mil on the cap, which is quite high. I mean, it's right at the very top in terms of wide receiver rankings for salary. Next year, it's only 6 million in terms of dead cap. So if they wanted to move on from him, they could. But my question to you, though, is would you want to? Is Amari Cooper here for an extended period of time, longer than what we're looking for? Or would you be saying, I'm not so sure?
Well, again, we've seen what the ceiling for the salary cap's going to be next year. It's an extra 30,
that's gone up.
Yeah, it's gone up about 30 million from what it is this year. So it's up at 208 million. We need to see, obviously, at the end of the season who's needing contracts up and what have you. But if you decide that Gallup suddenly has a storming year, and yes, Amari Cooper's taking a step back, 6 million's not a lot to have to bite the bullet on.
If you really wanted to, yeah. For me, I mean, still, Cooper's one of my favorite players. It is the route running. The route running is, and it's because it's all about efficiency for me. That you don't have to be fast. You don't have to be agile. But if you can run smart, intelligent routes, you can be physical at the line, get off a jam. They're the skills. They're the skill. And like we can go back to one of the absolute greatest wide receivers in history, Jerry Rice. Phenomenally slow. Average speed. But the guy could separate. The guy can... I'm not saying Amari Cooper is Jerry Rice, but I'm saying in terms of categorical skills that, he's got adequate speed, adequate agility, adequate strength, but where it comes down to his efficiency, Cooper Kupp for the Rams, very much the same. That his skills in being able to separate in his routes, that's what, because it's efficiency. And that's what it comes down to in the NFL, that the margin is razor thin between these guys.
Yeah.
But so you know where I'm going. Go on. Sorry, Paul.
I've managed to find out who the wide receiver was I was just telling you about. I want to know, guys, who do you think it is? Just at the top of your head.
What's this now?
The wide receiver, the number one wide receiver for our team in the NFL that did not get one single touchdown last season.
Smith-Schuster.
Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually knew that. I should have said. I was trying to think. I was like, I know who this is. I know I've looked before.
It's like you're just kind of going back to your point there, mate. It just comes to show it's like all those best wide receivers, supposed to be the best fantasy football as well, and all that. Do you even put any points on the board?
Yeah. And you can go one further again and say Amari Cooper's 22 million on the cap. Michael Thomas, record-breaking contract. Is phenomenally huge. And albeit that he didn't play all that much because of his injuries.
Yeah, still played half a season.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And suspension from the team as well for cold cocking one of his teammates as well in the locker room. So,
but yes, wide receiver one, Amari Cooper. I think for me, if he's staying on this trajectory, or even if he just plateaus out and continues on, as long as he's making 1,000 yards and you're getting the touchdowns, he's pulling double team cornerbacks onto him. He's here to stay. I would continue on with him.
Mike, I'm not actually really that concerned about the yards per se. As long as he's putting points on the board, I am happy.
Yeah.
You
Or
know?
offering scoring opportunities up for the rest of the team.
Yeah, if he manages to get two back at like defensive back players, a safety in the corner to follow him, it's going to free up someone else. It's going to do that. So like he's still doing his job pretty much, you know.
It's a game of numbers.
Exactly. So
yeah. So and I mean, that's for me, Amari Cooper, and I said it last season, and I'll say it again. He's one of my favorite players on this team, just through everything that he does, and even in the locker room. You know, if you was to say this guy, because he's still young, you got to remember we were just saying that.
We were just saying that because when we brought him into Dallas, he's only 24. He's now he's 26, 27?
27. 27
so he's now he's in this part. He's going to hit his prime now. This is his prime years,
and it feels like he's been in the league for years. Like,
I know,
like he's never. Yeah. Like that, he's always been in the NFL since it started, but but what is more crazy is when you look at the comparison between Des Bryant in the locker room and Amari Cooper in the locker room, and that's where there's a big difference.
Oh
Des was this big, huge character that had the big personality. Yeah. You know, the wasp at a picnic is the best way to describe Des, where Amari Cooper seems to be a little bit more.
So it sounds a bit harsh to Des, to be honest, but I know where you're getting that. I know you're getting that.
Yeah, the diva mentality. And Amari Cooper is more self-contained and more like the type of, rather than going out to party, come around my house and I'll cook some steaks on the grill.
I would say passionate would be the right word for Des. Passionate.
If you're being political.
No, it is true though. Like. I love Des, and
I do.
And Valentes is his biggest number one fan, and he's even coming with a comment. Des is a legend. He still holds the record. Holds the record. He will always will be a Cowboy. I love Des to bits, but he always he just basically was very vocal. But when you're talking about compare him to Cooper's
in comparison,
so Cooper's like he keeps his head down. Focuses on football. Focuses like it doesn't like
softly spoken too.
I know he's just so laid back. Like you would never think that with, especially with the personalities in the NFL, where you had like a Megatron with the whole Flambada with his endorsement deals. Then you had Dion with him being like at the NFL Combine all those years ago, and you've got Des being flamboyant, and I'm just like Richard Sherman being a talkative cornerback, or like even though he's not wasn't a number one overall pick or anything like that, but still there's just a lot more characters out there that's more outspoken. And if you were to put the quiet bunch, Cooper's in the quiet bunch.
Definitely.
Dallas were famous during the Landry era. They had a group of guys called the Zero Club who made a thing of, you got fined if you made the papers about anything other than what you did on the field and everything like that. And it's almost like that with our wide receiver core this year. That you don't see Michael Gallup being loud and flashy. You don't see CD Lamb being loud and flashy on the field. Yeah, they maybe celebrate their touchdowns and everything like that. But, off the field, you're not hearing about them going out partying. You're not hearing about them, they're doing good for the local community. But, they're not doing it to publicize themselves. They're not looking after the brand.
Big shout out to next man. Big shout out to next man. Star guy and represent. What's happening, mate? They were doing.
All right, well, let's move on to the next guy, Michael Gallup, who's the wide receiver 2 effectively on this team, taken in the third round in 2018.
I say that's debatable now.
Yeah, very true. He's in his contract year from a 4-year contract, $2.6 million on the cap. A guy who back a couple of years ago, if we're staying on the Des Bryant talk, a guy who I said is very much Des Bryant-esque with Michael Gallup in terms of
clutch is the word.
catch point, the catch at high point in physicality, will use a bit of agility as well as physicality. In terms of getting off man coverage, like, forget it. I mean, this guy will toast you if you try and play press man on him. Last year, 59 receptions, 843 yards, 5 touchdowns, 14.3 average. But here's something that's quite important that I think is something that gets overlooked is first downs. Michael Gallup, on his catches, actually made 44 first downs for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
yeah, which it's an overlooked statistic. 2019 though really was his best year, and again, when we talk about statistics in 2020, a lot can be said about it for various reasons that we don't really need to go into because it's pretty obvious. But he had over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 15. He had 15 yards per catch, but his career average as it stands at the moment is a whopping 15.6 yards per catch. Yeah, that's like college numbers. The only thing I will say right now, don't take this the wrong way, and I get your opinion. I love Michael Gallup, right? Let me just say that first before I do this. But if you wanted to go down the cons of Michael Gallup, because we touched on it very briefly with Michael Gallup, I think 2 things. Number one, he's not a wide receiver 1. When Amari Cooper went down, we saw Michael Gallup take the wide receiver 1 role, and the arse fell out of it.
If you were trying to say something, it's like more like the Kenny Golladay effect.
Yeah, he's got.
It sounds harsh. It sounds harsh, but it's true.
It's quite awkward how to try and word it. That you've got so many words in the English language, I can't think of one. But like, the best way to describe it is like he's a jack of all trades, master of none. So like, he can do a lot of things very good, in some cases great, but he's not elite in anything. And I think that if you wanted to be a wide receiver 1, you have to really be elite at one particular thing. And that's my take on it.
Right, do maybe quick favor to check the messages for a second.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. 1 minute, trying to tap my head and rub my stomach at the same time. Right. Anyway, what's your particular take, Lorne, on this one? That I think, as a wide receiver 2, perfectly fine. Like, the guy can absolutely belt it out. Deep threat, when we need it most, he's there. But as a wide receiver 1, he's lacking.
Yeah, I mean, you have to wonder. I mean, obviously, Alvin Harper had a great career with us, and then tried to parlay that into a wide receiver 1 contract with Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Bounced around the league, came back to us. Was never the same player again, except when he was paired up with Michael Irvin.
Yeah.
I think in some respects, he's probably better than Alvin Harper in that, but because obviously there was periods where, again, Cooper was off the field, and it was just Gallup, Lamb, and a couple, say Cedric Wilson or Noah Brown as well. So, Gallup was picking up the slack there. So I certainly think he probably does have the potential to be a number 1. As we were talking about there with Cooper, again, he's not one of these people who is demanding the ball, which again is maybe why he has this perception that he's not a number 1 receiver. I mean, we've talked there that, guys like Dez, Michael Irvin, they want the ball. They make a point of wanting the ball. Keyshawn Johnson, I mean, you come into the league and you write a book about saying, give me the goddamn ball and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. These typical number 1 receivers, they're all about, on the field, they're all about their play, but, they make a point of saying, give me the ball. I want the ball. I'm the alpha dog in this team. Gallup's not like that. But, Cooper's not like that. Lamb hasn't been like that so far either. So, again, this is maybe a new breed that we're bringing in that if they want to perform on the field and maybe get the opportunities coming their way as a result of that.
Yeah. The only thing I will say that I do like with Michael Gallup is I think in terms of complement, because Gallup can't really play the slot where you can move Cooper as this chess piece up and down the line. Where I think that works well is how that complements with Cooper. By you leave a physical outside possession, really, type wide receiver in Michael Gallup on the outside, and then you move Cooper where you want. I think in how the two complement each other in that way is where it's most effective. That's what I think is best. But do you want to keep Michael Gallup, guys, in 2022 and beyond?
God, I really
and everyone at home as well. Let us know what you think.
I think it's going to be too much of a price to pay, to be honest now. I really do.
Yeah.
I would love to keep him if we can keep the cost down, but I just don't see it happening, especially with what's going to be happening with the cap and stuff. So, and plus, there's always going to be another steal in a second, a third round in the drafts next year anyway. So that's where I'm kind of saying we can probably just get on another guy in that same type of scenario, get him for 4 years, whatever. But I think we'll more likely to see Gallup head away. I mean,
you think he's going to be demanding double digits in his contract, and the Cowboys can't stretch to that?
Well, when you put it in perspective, and I keep using Kenny Golladay as an example, it's like, as much as I hate to admit it, Gallup's outperformed Golladay, I think, personally, like overall as a wide receiver. And we mentioned before, Golladay got $72 million from the Giants. But there's no way in hell that Cowboys are going to slap up that amount of money for a number 2 wide receiver. No chance. Right? And that's what Kenny Golladay is. In all fairness, he is a number 2 wide receiver. And I don't know. It's crazy.
I mean, if I was Jerry and Steven, and they now know what they're playing with for the cap next year. If you want to keep Gallup, you approach him now and you try and get him at a cut value price.
Especially when the wide receiver market's so saturated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
If you let him hit free agency at the end of the season,
price goes up.
Then the price goes up big style. Yeah. And I mean, we've seen there again with Golladay, it's the Giants are saying, well, we've not got anybody in our roster that is good enough, so we need to bring somebody in. We've got to fight against 31 other teams, and therefore that's what makes the price go up. And, and again, it going back to the attitude, maybe Gallup's, depending on how we do this year, if we get to the playoffs and we get close to the Super Bowl or whatever, maybe you look at the way Tampa Bay, everybody's come back to Tampa Bay and they're all on, bargain contracts. So maybe if we get far enough, Gallup realizes this is a good place for him, and yes, he says, right, okay, I'm signing up again.
Yeah. I mean, he could be that type of guy too. You don't know behind the scenes. But, I do think I'm with you. With a saturate, you've had so many wide receivers coming in through the draft. Like, we were just talking about how many wide receivers, good wide receivers too, come in through the draft. That's only going to drive your price down. So you do that before he gets to free agency and he can demand the price.
Yeah, so I want to get someone else's opinion on this, and I'm going to introduce him onto the show as our good friend, your guy, Nix. What's happening, brother?
Hey man, not much, man. Long time watcher. Yeah, I can hear you. Y'all got me?
I got you.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. No, man, appreciate you letting me on, man. Obviously, we worked out during the draft a little bit, man. Long time member of y'all's group and whatnot, man. Happy to be on with you guys.
So we were just talking about Michael Gallup there. What do you think? Do you think we're going to keep him? Do you think he might go? Like,
what would you do for like 2022 and beyond? Really,
right? And obviously some of this is going to be the devil's in the details, right, guys? What is Steven looking at? What is he thinking about the cap long term? We know in that contract there's an out on Amari if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
So are they going to look at, hey, CeeDee Lamb's got 2 years. He's ready to be the number one. We got the number 2 in Gallup. We can save the money, let Amari walk, and then just pay Gallup. It's a process, right, that we have to think about. On the same token, with the cap going up, the way that it's looking, as we heard the numbers, I think there's a chance that they do try to keep him as well. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, as a lot of people think that he's going to be out the door. He brings a little something to this, and back to your point, Mike, of you're right. He's not a true number one, right? He's a top tier number 2 kind of guy, is what he is.
Yeah,
for sure.
100%.
But what he brings to this
100%.
offense, the one thing he brings to the offense, in my opinion, and what they do is he's not a take it over the top. He's not going to blow the top of the defense off, but he's big enough. The body can contested catches, and he's going to be running that 9 just to take that away to let these guys work underneath. So there's a little bit of what he does that the other guys don't do for this in this system with Kellen Moore. And I was always, even when we were talking about different things, whether we added a pitch or one of the wide receivers fell to us at 10, a lot of people in Cowboys Nation was like, well, just get rid of Gallup, trade Gallup. You're going to do that? I was like, no. Load up. Keep this the Super Bowl contending offense. We got to wait and see how this defense is. Keep all these weapons together for Dak as long as you can is what you got to do. In my opinion, that's how I feel, guys.
Yeah. Strength on strength.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. Definitely.
Yeah. But I mean, you were talking CeeDee Lamb. I mean, let's move on to him. I mean, this is a guy who, as a rookie, had the most yards for a rookie wide receiver from the slot. I definitely think if we was to move on from Gallup in 2022, now you're looking at CeeDee Lamb moving to the outside, and you're going to see him be just like Amari Cooper can move to the slot and the outside, up and down the line, close to the line of scrimmage, and even outside, wherever you want to put him. I mean, this guy, he's already, like you was, close to bringing that point up yourself, Paul, that he is the number 2 wide receiver, all pretty much effectively. And given another season of practice training in an NFL weight room, this guy, God knows what he could become.
The reason I'm saying he's number 2 is
I know what you're saying.
It's more purely because of the business ethics of the team.
Yeah.
We draft him at a high pick in the first round. There's a lot more investment involved when it comes to him rather than Gallup. That's what I'm kind of saying. There's that priority type of thing. So we can't lose Lamb. Like there'd be more of an upset if we lost Lamb compared to Gallup in that perspective, I think.
Yeah.
So,
and you've got to give, right, this guy is a rookie wide receiver, came in maybe the worst situation at all, for the type of season it was, with the virus, with training, with practices, with coaching change. And we said about it with Amari Cooper, he had to play with, again, that whole slew of different quarterbacks throughout the season and still managed to have the year he had. I mean, this is a rookie wide receiver who managed to deal with all of that. I mean, I don't know what you guys make of it. What do you think?
It's remarkable. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the receive again. We've talked about the receivers that are coming into the league this year. Last year, the receivers that came in were just as good. I mean, Jerry Jeudy, Jefferson at Minnesota, all of these guys came in, and to do what they did without a proper OTA system,
training,
first 2 weeks of training camp were all strength and conditioning, and then try and do the full install as well. I mean, for Lamb to be as much of the offense as he was last year for a rookie is just incredible. And you can see that he has the position flex, that you can play him at the X, the Y, the Z, wherever, and he'll make the most of any positions. So that's creating a mismatch. Now, some obviously Dez, we never use Dez in any other than on the outside. That was one of the biggest things about Dez is why don't you move him in? And we tried to do that in his final year and had some success with that. But certainly with Lamb, I think you've got that position flex that you can play him across the board, and he'll make the most of any opportunity.
Just something to add on top of it. I think we have actually kind of mentioned this. It's like, do you not feel so that all three of our top wide receivers, Gallup, Cooper, and Lamb, they have that versatility. You can play them at X, Y, and Z. All three of them, you can mix them about.
Maybe not Gallup, but I wouldn't put Gallup in the slot because he hasn't got the short area quickness.
That's a fair point. But
Cooper,
No, I agree,
Cooper and Lamb, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Like Coop, Lamb, for sure, they can go. They can line up anywhere, do anything. I'm with you, Mike. Gallup. Look, and I love Gallup a lot. I think Gallup easily would have been a possible first round pick if you played in the SEC coming out. But I'm not looking to put him in the slot. I want that big body on the outside to run them slants, run them nines. Go be that guy, that back shoulder or contested ball catcher for Dak or whoever's lining up out there, right? At quarterback. Yeah. Hopefully this year we don't have to have that problem like we did last year. But you're right. Like the route running and the abilities that Amari and that Lamb have, you can put them anywhere and they're going to get off. And that's just what they are. And that's what they're going to do. And that's kind of some of the reason why I'm like, I don't write up Gallup being all the way out of here because both of these guys are number ones. You're going to pay Lamb like a number one. Like that's coming down the pipeline for sure. Now you got some time there, but it's coming down the pipeline as compared to, Gallup, you can get a little bit cheaper. Top tier 2 guy, sure. Unless there's a team that decides that, hey, we think he can be a 1. Okay, maybe things change there. But what a great weapon though to have. Hey, you want to put Lamb on the outside of Amari? You want to put Amari in the slot and let them deal with him? Good luck, guys. And that's just part of what this offense is and what we're excited about because we got to see how this defense comes together, obviously, during training camp and everything, and with all the new faces and the new club. But be clear, full tilt, with no other injuries we have last year, this is a Super Bowl contending offense. And there's no denying that. And that's just what the great part about having this interchangeability. Look, and we really talk about maybe even Pollard who can get in the slot at times and do certain things as well. So, the weapons are great to have, man. And having Amari and CeeDee Lamb, wow, just an embarrassment of riches is what I call it sometimes for these quarterbacks.
Yeah, definitely. And, funny you mentioned the back shoulder fake because I said about how Gallup was somewhat Dez-like-esque. And, you've got the Romo and Dez connection, which was the back shoulder fade. And then all of a sudden you see a very similar thing happening between Dez and Gallup there with the back shoulder fade happening very often too. So that's something I quite like. And, the other note I made was because people complained about drop passes, but CeeDee Lamb, there's 66% catch rate, plays number 88, 66% ranks 88th in the NFL.
Boom. A correlation there.
There you go. Yeah. So
where's my drum kit? Where's my drum kit?
Yeah. See, it's all about trying to find the good stats. Everything all ties together. So you're trying to tie everything together. Yeah. But for you guys, what do you think of wide receiver 4? I put it as Cedric Wilson. Do you guys agree, or are you saying Simi or perhaps Noah?
Yeah, I was a big Ced Wilson guy pre-training camp last year. That's who I actually penciled in when we were talking about who was going to be in. Going back to his Boise State days, what he was able to do, his biggest thing up until last year was he just couldn't stay healthy, right? Yeah. And last year he was able to stay healthy. We got to see what he could do. Right, had a big game up there in Seattle as well. Yeah. So I think he's the leader in the clubhouse. But you did draft a guy in the 5th round, right?
This is it,
right? Simi, right?
Yep. Simi,
Yeah, and they brought in a bevy of guys this year, undrafted free agents. Obviously everyone's talking about Vasher, the size, what he can do. So I know it's interesting, but I'm with you, Mike. I think Ced's definitely the leader, right?
Yeah.
But that 5 and 6, Noah Brown, I don't know. It might get a little testy for you, Noah Brown, this year. He might not be the guy. So
but I've
interesting to see.
I've actually said Noah Brown. If any of the first 5 wide receivers, the veteran wide receivers we've kept, could go, Noah Brown is the guy for me that is in the most murkiest waters, simply because Simi is Noah Brown, but faster and stronger and bigger.
Yep. Yep.
I like it.
And I don't think any of these guys. We saw with Antoine Woods when he was released. You can't be going in.
Don't bring him a heartache.
Hey, I'm not bringing up somebody from last year, Paul. So,
Antoine's my boy, man. He's my boy. He's my boy.
I know. Well, he's done all right for himself. He's ended up on another roster at the moment. So,
yeah.
But obviously we signed him to a similar contract this year, $2 million, and obviously the team decided to move on from him. It shows that obviously Cedric Wilson shouldn't be going into camp saying, "Yeah, I've got number 4 locked up," and especially, I mean, how many years ago we had guys like John Vea Johnson, Jalen Guyton, who were all undrafted free agents brought in. They're still in the league, albeit with other teams. And I think John Vea Johnson's actually
Jags.
he had significant playing time last year with the Jags, and put up some fairly good numbers as a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4.
Don't forget, back in the past, if we were talking about undrafted, we had Cole Beasley as well. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
And look what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's pretty much, I think he's he's still a number 3 receiver for the Bills. He could be a number 2 based on whatever, but for him being an undrafted, he's done a great job. I mean, but you've got like you're talking about like Cedric Wilson and stuff like that, and Noah Brown. I'm kind of torn between who it may be, to be honest. I need to. If it was personally, I would prefer Cedric personally. Like, I think he brings more to the table. I think.
Yeah, but he's safe. He is. What Cedric is safe in terms of what he does. The issue with Cedric Wilson is his athletic profile, and I went through it just to go on my look. So, like, he's a 4.58 40. But the issue is his wingspan in his arm. So 31-inch arms, which is like 36 percentile. A broad jump of 121, which is like 52 percentile. His 3-cone, which wasn't too bad, but that was still only 6.89, which is 60 percentile. But when you look at the other stuff, so that it's short arms and wingspan, it's not explosive, it's not fast. So you're like, well, what is it then? You want that 3-cone to, not that his 3-cone is bad, but when you put everything else together, you want that to be bigger, so you could say like, it's the short area and the snappy agility that you've got.
Right. I'm going to throw something back at you. Remember you were talking about like Jerry Rice? I know.
But I'm saying what I'm saying though is what you've got with Amari Cooper is for a wide receiver 1. You need an elite trait, whatever that is. Like DK Metcalf is his straight line speed. Amari Cooper is his efficient route running. But with Cedric Wilson, his athletic profile isn't great. So you want something else to be there. Not to be a wide receiver 1, a good wide receiver. So you got the short area 3-cone, which is what you've got. But then it's like, well, what else is there? And, you've got injury issues, but you already attested to next. So then the only other thing he's got, which I can say when I've looked at that, is it's safe hands. That's the best thing you can say that he has. That's his best trait. And lo and behold, all right, the first 3 wide receivers are probably the best 3 wide receivers you can have on a team. But it's like, that's the reason why he's your wide receiver 4. Not your wide receiver 3.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he throws the ball well. We know that too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Throws the ball well. The thing, I think, and a lot of it too, when we're talking about, and we're getting, we know this first 3 are Ced, but when we talk about Ced and Noah, it's like, well, Ced's going to come in. You don't want Ced on the outside. You want him in the slot, right? As compared to Noah, right? You don't want him in the slot. Really, you want him on the outside. Or kind of if you put him in the slot, he's there to set the edge and block, and that's it. That's what he's there to do. So they were kind of the combo pack, right? After you got past the first 3 where, well, one could do this for this person and one could do it for this person, right? So it's like, okay, we lose the outside guy. Okay, Noah Brown's going to get the time. Okay, well, we need a slot guy, then it's Ced. So if they're able to find that guy and if they feel like Simi can do a little bit of both, right, then that's where you're going to look into one of these guys not be in trouble. Obviously, they weren't drafted by this current coaching staff. They brought in a lot of fresh faces at the position, drafted one, as we mentioned. But again, I'm still going to give the nod to Ced for now. over Noah Brown.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely a hotbed. And we kind of talked about this on the Stargate show last week. It was like, or Wednesday. Competition is everywhere, and there's not a lot of competition on the offensive side of the ball. But that 4th, 5th, and 6th receiver is going to be highly contested at camp. I can't wait to see it.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned it, and DJ Dog made a wee comment on that. It's like we just added Johnny Dixon added to the wide receiver slot, and this is a guy that's been in like how many years has he been in the NFL? It's just like he's just had one season.
2019, I think he came out. He was injured last year with.
So, but when you look at his measurements, he's 5'11", 198. He's a slot. He's a slot guy.
Right.
So we're bringing in competition for all different for all like both X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So it kind of goes back to your point there, Nick. It's like we're just stockpiling competition after competition, and that's what we want. We want to see wide receivers getting after it. We want to see guys we want to see teammates going after each other. You know,
that's right.
Yeah. I think with the Noah Brown situation, I think really whether he's the 5th wide receiver, and the Cowboys very well because it's 17 games. Take a 6th wide receiver on the roster too. You don't know how they're going to mix and match it with the special teams. We know Noah Brown is good with the special team side as a gunner. So I think really moving into Semi Fuku is whether Noah Brown stays on the roster or not depends on if Simi can break the special teams in that role. If he does it, Noah Brown is done.
I feel that. Guys, I appreciate y'all, man. I always enjoy watching y'all's content and for having me on. I'm going to slide in here and do some more work. I saw y'all say, man, I got to talk to my guy, Paul, and miss my guys real quick, man. It's been too long. But appreciate you. Hey, real quick, self-plug, man. Come follow me on Twitter, your guy, Nix, _ in between. Stargate Podcast on YouTube. By all means, come hit that sub button. Hey, I got to come back in when I'm actually at home and sit down and do a whole show with y'all, man.
Absolutely, bro.
Hey, we'll talk to you offline and we'll get that sorted. Maybe not next week, week after or something.
Okay, cool. Hit me up. Definitely. Appreciate you guys.
Sounds good.
Take it. There we are. Stay safe, bro.
It's always nice to have a little special guest pop in and say hello. Although we look beautifully sunny there.
I know. I'm rather jealous, to be honest. It's like it just sent a wee comment on the YouTube feed there, and I was like, you know what? Let's get him in, man. You know,
that's why when you said it, I was like, people were like thinking, why is Mike talking about patting his head and rubbing his stomach? It's like we're trying to do everything all at once there, but there we go. It can be done. It's just very tricky, especially when you're all talking, and I'm trying to take that in too.
My apologies, man.
No, it's cool, man. But let's talk about Simi Fuku, the guy who we took in the 5th round this year. I love the guy. The best picture I've ever seen. Him as like a 6-year-old boy, draped in a Dallas Cowboys jersey with the helmet on. Everything's just oversized on him. Looks great. He loves the Cowboys. I think if anything could be said of any of the people who got drafted this year, Simi was probably the most excited. Like,
oh my, hands down. I would say Parsons as well.
Like, I would say Simi was even more so. I think.
Yeah, I think showing more expression about it, definitely. But if there's a player that was dying to really get, like obviously,
of course, yeah.
But I would say Parsons. But like when we saw the follow-up video, I know we're talking about wide receivers, but when we saw the follow-up video
that we
backstage,
as well.
And I think there was the whole argument between him and Patrick Surtain, and like in one of those we combine video things, like Surtain's like, I hope Dallas comes and get me, and Parsons like, it's like, come on, man, they don't need you, they need me.
yeah.
Sorry, man, but you're right though. If Simi, I'm over the moon. Like a guy that really he's going to take every opportunity to get in this team because it's his favorite team. Like when you get drafted by your team, you are willing to do whatever it takes. Like I suppose any player would do the exact same, even if it's not your team, because you want to make it to the NFL. But it just adds that extra little bit more spice.
Do you want me though to excite you even more about Simi? I can really excite you. All right.
Go for it.
So, athletic profile. If you type everything in, the guy who pops up straight away, Larry Fitzgerald, right? So straight away you go, ooh. A lot of people in the draft comped him to very much like DK Metcalf. And you go, really? Here we go. 6'4", right? Let's just start there, right? 227 £.
I've got 6'3", 220 on the Cowboys official website.
That might be what he's weighed in there, but his measurements, his pro day or whatever, yeah.
Right,
so
got you.
Could be a little exaggerated, but anyway, 6'4", 227. He'd run. It was an unofficial time, but he still did it, and you can clock it yourself.
Yeah,
a 40 time of 4:38. A guy of that size running that speed. Like, basically, he's an undersized tight end that can run very, very fast. Very, very, very fast. Now, I actually think that when you looked at how he played in Stanford, he was the deep threat. Played deep down a lot, out-muscled cornerbacks. I mean, he was throwing cornerbacks around like empty tracksuits. It wasn't even fair.
I love that term.
It wasn't even fair. I actually think that Noah Brown right now, 7th round pick, Noah Brown, bear in mind, although he's done absolutely great with what he's done. Noah Brown is 987 on the cap. If they released him, they get that money back, right? So that's fine.
All but 137,000, which is the signing bonus. But yeah,
That's correct. So they can get some money back. Simi's on there playing. He's bigger, faster, and taller than Noah Brown. It's just, I think it's purely down to technique on special teams. If Simi can do it and crack it, that's the way he breaks into this roster.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. The one thing though, I mean, obviously we talked there about he's taking the top off of defense at Stanford, but I mean, obviously with this offense, he'll probably be asked to run other routes. And I think from all accounts in the rookie mini camp and the first week of OTAs as well, he's slightly underperformed as well. So he is going to have to pick up the slack in the next couple of weeks. Yeah. And I mean, and going into training camp as well.
Yeah. And I was just going to add to what you were saying that, he was a deep threat in Stanford, but a lot of what we're talking about there is more Stanford's play style,
Yeah.
How the Cardinal play. But after that, we've got a slew of undrafted free agents. I can only talk about one of these guys. Up to you which guys you want to talk about. I'll just give you the numbers and where they were from and what year. So we got Brandon Smith, undrafted free agent, Iowa, 660 on the cap. Osiris Mitchell, 661 on the cap for the next 3 years. Undrafted free agent from Mississippi State. TJ Vasher, that's my guy from Texas Tech. 3 year as well, 660 on the cap. Your guy, Lorne. We got Brennan Eagles, 660 on the cap. Undrafted free agent, Texas. Stephen Goudry, 663 on the cap. Mississippi State, undrafted free agent last year. Also, you had Aaron Park, who was an undrafted free agent last year, who's 660 on the cap as well. And then you have Malik Turner, who was an undrafted free agent with the Seahawks in 2018, come over to the Cowboys last year. Did a little bit of dancing around, bish, bash, bosh, whatever you want to call it. And then, of course, there was Johnny Dixon, who was from Ohio State.
Did you mention Osiris Mitchell?
Yes,
he did.
Yeah. From Mississippi State. Any of those guys you want to talk about? I tell you what, Lorne, I'll let you have the chair first. Brennan Eagles. Let's talk about this guy. Is he going to make it?
It's going to be difficult cheering on somebody with Eagles on the back of a Cowboys jersey.
How do you think the Eagles feel with Dallas Goedert then?
Well, yeah, I know. You had a Poindexter kicker announcing him.
The thing is with Dallas Goedert, it doesn't say Dallas in the back of the jersey. It says Goddard.
True. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. If he changes his surname, I'll accept it.
Yeah.
What's he like as a player? I mean, what are we looking at in terms of player?
The few games of Texas that I got to watch last year, I mean, You saw him catch it. You saw him as a good red zone threat. He picked up a few touchdowns in the games I watched. He wasn't. I don't think he was the number one receiver that Sam Ellinger went to, but he was obviously. He probably fills that sort of Cole Beasley sort of role where he finds himself open underneath routes to get into the end zone when you're talking in the red zone. So probably the slot receiver is where you're probably looking at him. It's probably again a competition for Cedric Wilson, or potentially another slot receiver if you're going 4 wide.
Okay. Any other guys on the undrafted free agents, Paul, you want to talk about?
I'm just looking at the roster. Like, I didn't really get to see much of these guys at all, and I'm just really. I want you guys to tell me more about them, if I'm being honest. And it's more so on Osiris Mitchell and Brandon Smith. Like, I'm just looking at the measurables right now. Like, Osiris Mitchell's 6'6". 6'5". That's freaking massive. Like, but in terms of his height compared to weight, it seems to be like one of those lankier, tall wide receivers.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're talking about height, right? The guy I think of all the undrafted free agents, I like TJ Vasher, right, from Texas Tech. He's 6'6".
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So you want to go tall?
Right.
That's what he is. Huge size. At Texas Tech, he was a mismatch in terms of the size that he had. But he does, with that as well, have this crazy leaping ability. So you take a guy who's tall and can jump. So climbing the ladder in that respects, I mean, it's crazy to watch. And he's got good hands. He's not one of these guys that when he's at the top, you think, is he going to catch it? He will catch it.
So he was undrafted, right?
Yes, he was an undrafted free, mainly down to his work ethic. Just does not give a crap.
Right. That was the question I was about to ask. It's like, if he's got all those measurables, why was he not actually selected in the draft?
He was a lot of off-field issues, character concerns, work ethic.
Of course, it's off-field issues. It's the Dallas Cowboys. We are so in love with off-field.
And as well as that, when you look at him and go watch, like, to put on a Texas tape game with him in, and you'll spot him straight away. Although he's like 210, when you look at him, he just looks skinny, looks lean for his position. So you think for a 6'6" guy, you want him to, although he's 210, he doesn't look it. Do you know what I mean? Like some people look it and some people look more than what they are. He actually looks less. I don't know how that happens.
Prime example, John Ross for Cincinnati.
He looks less than his weight,
Looking at Dane's draft guide, the one thing about Vasher is that the sort of negative on him is that the defenders were able to sort of reroute him a lot.
Yeah, he can bumped off his routes really easy.
Yeah.
Which goes back to like this gaunt and that thin frame looking. That if you're undersized in that respects, although the weight he's got the weight, it's not proportional. Then you're going to get bounced off your routes easy enough by, especially physical corners.
Yeah,
but he's got the yak ability too.
Yeah, I mean, especially you talk about. We always talk about when we're talking about offensive and defensive linemen that they need to give a bit more sand in the pants and all that. Wide receivers still need to go through an NFL training, off-season training weight program as well, because you look at the way Lamb has come out this season. Just watching him coming out of the tunnel. To go to OTAs this week. I mean, he looks as if he's transformed his body again. I mean, there's a little bit more power in those arms, which should help him break free. A lot of these wide receivers that are coming out this year, I mean, they could do it another year in a training camp.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, 100%. But like what I like with TJ Vasher, he's like something totally different that isn't on the roster. And that's why I think that because he's this tall, lanky guy with that's high pointing the ball, climbing the ladder great, all the rest of it. I know there's all the off-field issues and stuff, but he's an undrafted free agent, so you're not heavily invested. So see what happens. He's my favorite of the undrafted free agents that we got. I think the rest have got quite a bit of a road. They need to travel down to break into the roster. He's got the best chance.
So like Brandon Smith, for example, do you think you'll probably
the two you talked about, Brandon, those two, and Cyrus Smith are the two I know the least about.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
the rest. That's the reason I was kind of asking the question in case you knew more about them.
The fact you don't.
Because I've got the whole roster list right here, and they just kind of don't know why, but they just seem to kind of pop out at me as rookies, and I was just like, I've not actually heard much about them, and I'm quite intrigued,
Yeah. I mean, it's something that we'll look into, and I'll try and do a little write up on one of them. But we'll certainly look into that and do something for the undrafted, all the undrafted free agents. But guys, I am going to pop this up because we are nearing the end here. Yes, it is, of course, paying the bills.
Woo-hoo.
So Old Cowboys Experience, their packages are online now, so you can go and check them out. Lucky for you, if you tell them you're with the UK Cowboys and you use that discount code, you will get a little something extra. Speaking to the guys there tomorrow, actually, so part of the deal is they have a brand new hotel. They are no longer in the hotel they were in before when you booked with them. Brand spankingly new hotel. I forget the name. He did tell me. So looking very good. But if you are going to a game and you want game day tickets or tailgate party or a stadium tour, book it for Cowboys Experience. They'll have all the packages and deals you need there, all the information, and they will take care of you. They treat you like a king. And as I said, guys, use the discount code or package code UK Cowboys to get some what, people?
Free stuff. Don't
That's
be a
right.
clown. Get free stuff.
Yeah, the free stuff's not a pair of clown shoes, so
yeah. It's not like free stuff. You get like a plastic bag or something. But that is it, guys, for this week. Next week we are doing the offensive line. And then we'll do tight end to finish off. Yeah, I was going to do tight end next week, but I thought, let's do the offensive line. Pop it while it's hot, as they say.
Just say I'm available next weekend or next week.
Yeah, the offensive line is starting to come very juicy right now with what's going on there.
We talked briefly about that earlier for sure.
Oh yes, so that should be something fun. But guys, for UK Cowboys this week, UK Cowboys TV, this is us signing off. So I'll let you guys finish us off, and we'll see you all again next week, guys.
Thanks again, guys. See you next week.
Okay, have a good week, guys. See you next week.
How about them Cowboys?